Wales goes its way with a firebreak lockdown. Scotland draws up its own rules. We in England talk about circuit breakers. Are we making any sense? Welcome to Arm Wrestling with COVID-19 in London. This is number 39. The question remains valid. Are we making sense? Or, for that matter, are we too late? And whatever we do today, whatever we do tomorrow, however we do it, however we spin it, however we present it to the public, we are too late. Look at the R factor, the famous R factor that we've spoken about time and again over the past many months. It's already 1.5 in many parts of the UK. Remember when we said that the danger zone is if it goes above 1? But look a little further afield. Look at what's happening across the world. We've passed the 40 million cases of COVID-19. In Europe alone, there are over 250,000 deaths. And in this country, in our country, in the UK, every day we get, again, like we did in the first wave, we get more numbers of cases and more deaths. Hospitals, some hospitals are beginning to struggle with the number of beds that are available, and we seem to be unsure. Should we panic? Should we not panic? Do we know what we're doing? Are we making sense? I've been following the whole scenario as it unfolds, and a lot of people have told me that, listen, Harry, what is happening now is a reintroduction of the North-South divide. With Andy Burnham, the mayor of Greater Manchester, taking a stand, making a stand against government policies, saying that he's not going to roll over just because they give him some more cash. All this is beginning to give some people the impression that the North once more is no longer a blue wall, that the North is a different part of the world than the South of England. So where do we go? What do we do? I was listening to a conversation the other day in which an epidemiologist was also talking about something equally dramatic. And I don't know how many people actually listened, heard, absorbed what he was saying. He said, I don't think vaccines will be coming soon. Wow. We've been talking about Chinese vaccines, Russian vaccines, even Egyptian vaccines. And yet this epidemiologist was saying, I don't think that in the near future, and mind you, the near future could be anything from weeks to long months, way past Christmas. He said, vaccines aren't going to be the answer. The answer are going to be the monoclonals. What are monoclonals? In layman's terms, they are the antibodies that would be given to the people who catch this dreadful virus. So we're in a pickle. I think we're in a pickle. I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen. And I think that we're all trying to pretend that we know what we're doing. Or putting it differently, we are doing as best we can. And this is why every time I come to the edge, I come to the precipice of sort of having another rant at the efforts of government, that I draw back. I draw back because I don't think they are alone in this world of we don't knows. Everybody seems to be just basically creating the rules as we go along. So what's going to happen in the next few weeks? Are we going to get a national lockdown now that the half term for schools is coming, so it will be less disruptive for students who started school again in their majority? Or, as we know, we should have had that national lockdown on the 21st of September in the letter that Sage sent to the government. Now, 1 month later, that train has gone. It's no longer at the station. So whether we do have a national lockdown now or not, the dreadful, ghastly virus is having its merry way anyway. So what do we do? The young, the middle-aged, and the elderly. We're all in it together, even though we're in it in different ways. So I worry. I worry about the reality of where we are today. And I worry more, and here I know it's one of my bugbears. I know you're going to say, Harry, don't mix apples and oranges. I'm going to mix apples and oranges. Because not only do we have a situation, a COVID-19 situation, pandemic, that is wreaking havoc with all four nations, Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland, and England. Not only are we almost helpless in some of our responses. What response? Stay at home? No, don't stay at home. Do this, do that. Whatever we're doing, not only are we sort of almost hostage to fortune, hoping, keeping our fingers crossed that if we do the minimum, we might be able to sustain a certain momentum, reach some sort of a breakthrough, have those monoclonals, have the vaccine, despite what the epidemiologist said, and perhaps in 2021, life will be a little bit less, I was going to say irksome, but it's not irksome. It's less threatening, less deadly. And on top of that, we in the United Kingdom have not only to contend with a pandemic that's keeping us, most of us, not all of us, I know, most of us on the edge of our seats, but on top of that, we also have to deal with Brexit. And with all the uncertainties, the economic uncertainties that we will face once the 31st of December comes, and whether we walk away with a deal or we walk away without a deal. Now, you know what I would have said? Something that would make many people see red. They would be livid. They would say, Harry, shut up. What I would have done is, since we haven't reached an agreement yet, and since there is a foe, an enemy, an adversary that is far more threatening than the European Union for us, and that is COVID-19, I would have said, and I'm sure the 27 would have agreed to it, that let's take a pause. Let's have a 1-year extension. Let's get the virus sorted first and then address the Brexit situation with cooler minds, calmer minds. But will we do that? Of course we will not. The Prime Minister and his supporters on the out of Europe narrative are egging him on, or maybe he doesn't need any egging on. Maybe he does believe in what he's doing. To let's get on with it. You don't agree with us on state aid. You don't agree with us on fisheries. There is no compromise. We are walking away anyway. And when we say compromise, Katya Adler said it beautifully, the BBC correspondent in Brussels earlier today on the Today program. Both sides have to make the compromise. Maybe the EU has to compromise on fisheries like we have to on the state aid. But let's not forget one pertinent fact. They're 27, we're 1. The world is in disarray. And nobody can tell me today that they are certain that they will be able to get equally lucrative deals for the UK in other parts of the world. Not today, not in the shambolic world that we're in today. So a little bit of common sense would have helped. But common sense and politics, common sense and populism aren't really the order of the day. They're not the dish of the day anymore. But if that's the case, as the the coming together of pandemic and Brexit are making life very uncertain and very difficult for a lot of people, from the elderly in home cares all the way to young students being caged, being imprisoned in their rooms and being very upset because they're losing out on one of the most formative stages of their lives, the liberation, freeing themselves from the shackles and learning new realities, learning about life. So, what's my message? Uncertainty will be predominant when it comes to coronavirus. It's almost like politics. You know, I don't listen anymore to what many people say because I don't trust what they're saying. The same is gradually happening with me and COVID-19. They say this today, they say that tomorrow. Give me a break. How am I going to have any trust in what they're saying when from one day to the other they change their tune? So I'm saying we've just got to deal with it. We've just got to do it and hope that we don't end up being all mental cases. On the other hand, I'm also saying, do we have to rush into Brexit? But then somebody is going to say, Harry, that's gone. Stop going back to your romantic notion of Europe. I wasn't being romantic, actually. I've left romance behind when I agreed that we are going to leave Europe. What I was doing is sheer practical pragmatism. But even that doesn't work in our world today. So, what can I say as a final word? Well, I was talking to a friend of mine who said to me, Harry, I really enjoyed your podcast on intuitive reactions, the MENA and Gulf regions. And particularly, he was referring to the one I did with the great friend and brilliant analyst of the region, Rami Khouri. He said, I really enjoyed that. But you know what? Your COVID podcasts, YouTubes are becoming a little bit bland. Well, I'm sorry that they're being bland, but the situation is serious enough to warrant this blandness. However, I leave you with the latest motto. We've seen them change. Even the color changes, green, yellow, whatever. Hands, face, and space. Take care. I wish you all the best. I hope you're less confused, less frustrated, and less anxious than I am. And between you and me, it doesn't take that much. Take care.